This is the most fun style of speedway racing that I've done in my career. It's different. It's different than Daytona, Talladega, and I think a lot of it just has to do with the way that the lanes open up, and it seems like for the most part there's always somewhere to go, and you can take your runs, take your momentum, and the top opens up, the bottom opens up, and you're able to, for the most part, if you do a good job driving and your car's handling well, you can move forward. So, I will echo that and say that this is the most fun speedway that we have.
Go to Cameron and then to Bob.
Cameron Richardson, NASCAR.com. Christopher, I want to know from you. Obviously, dirt racing doesn't compare to this style, but getting back behind the wheel in dirt and having that early start to the season, the reaction time and just being able to make quick decisions. Obviously, that translates to NASCAR, but just how important is it to actually get behind the wheel instead of just it being 3 months of sim work before then?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel the best I have as a race car driver, and I'm sure that some of it or part of it is due to the fact that I've been racing through the off season. So it's a dream come true to be able to drive for Joe Gibbs Racing in these Cup Series cars, and I'm honored and privileged to be able to have some fun outside of the Cup Series cars now, and I hope that I can make this the best year ever and prove to the company that it's the right thing for me to do to be out there racing.
Go to Bob, then the Jacob, then the Peter.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. Carson Hocevar didn't thrill a lot of other drivers today, and there you are battling him for, you don't know when the cautions come out. Are you treading lightly around him? How do you race somebody who maybe, I don't know if you're not sure what he's going to do?
Well, I mean, yeah, he's been around enough now that he's going to be the aggressor. If there's a hole, he's going to take it. If there's not a hole, he's going to make one. And he, ultimately gave me the shove to get, pass or break through, to lead the side draft tandem with myself and Kyle down the back straightaway. And then I didn't realize Kyle had opened up the bottom like he did getting into 3 and allowed Carson to sneak middle of 3 wide. But I was looking in my mirror and I saw them crashing, and I figured that it was a matter of winning the side draft battle to the yellow flag, and I felt like I had it whenever the yellow came out, but that you never know until they make it official. And the last thing that I wanted to do was go out there and let my emotions get to me and feel like I won the race, and then them come back and say I didn't. So yeah, it was bonkers, that's for sure.
Jacob Steelman, Race Face Digital. Christopher, 2 for you. First, there you are.
There
I am. Kind of expanding on the caution at the end of the race situation. A lot's been made of that over these first 2 weeks of the season, and I know there was a lot of driver conversation after Daytona and even after the Xfinity race yesterday. Where have you sat in this discussion, and were you one of the drivers that had something to say after last week and the fact that you guys were allowed to race back to the flag at the 500?
Well, I wasn't part of that.
Fair.
I wrecked out a couple laps earlier, but so no, I wasn't really. Whenever you're out of the race, I was in the infield care center. I was shocked that they allowed them to race back to the checkered whenever the leaders wrecked. We have been down this road before, and I myself got crucified at Talladega a couple years ago because they wrecked, and I was able to avoid the wreck, and I advanced positions. And they were like, okay, well, from now on, whenever the cars wreck on the last lap, the yellow's coming out so that we don't endanger people, and I think it's the right call. So, I think it just stems from the Thursday night duel where Eric Jones and Austin Cindric had that finish. They threw the yellow, a couple feet before the line, and then fast forward to the Daytona 500. They'd been going on a couple years of not finishing under green, so they were determined to try and finish under green. But I think that, you don't want to endanger the drivers, and throwing the yellow flag to not make the back half of the field race for position that means so much, on the white flag lap. I think it's the right call.
And you sit here tonight back in victory lane exactly 8 months after your win at New Hampshire last year. Which
I am glad that we don't have to hear about that.
Well-
Joe Gibbs Racing hasn't won since June. That's all I've heard. So I'm very happy to end that narrative.
So in that narrative, though, obviously a lot of changes have been made and seemingly have helped so far. But from your seat, you were the one JGR car that really performed well down the stretch last year. Was there ever any real I don't want to say overwhelming urgency, but sense of worry that you weren't where you needed to be, I guess?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that's why I got so frustrated with all of you guys saying JGR hasn't won since June. They haven't won since June. Well, you look at Gateway. Gateway was coulda, shoulda win. You look at what else we had? Las Vegas. That was definitely a coulda, shoulda win. There's a ton of races littered throughout that second half of the year that, at least my team had. I know from firsthand, and I'm sure Denny and Martin, and I don't know about Ty, but I know that the other guys probably had those same races. So it is relieving to finally end that narrative, and we have now won on February 20-something, 2025. So not winless anymore.
It's officially the 23rd. Let's go to Peter, and then we'll go to Doug.
Peter Strada, TSJ Sports. Christopher, you're no stranger to taking the win in the second week of the season, but how does that change your mental approach for the rest of this regular season?
Yeah, it really doesn't change our approach at all. And leaving last year, we set out on winning more races. We know that we need to win more races, and frankly, Atlanta Motor Speedway was not one that we had circled. So I'm glad that we were able to get one here. But if we don't win another race before the playoffs start or the end of the year, then it's not going to be a good season for us. So we're here to stay, and we need to prove that. We need to walk the walk and quit talking the talk. But the Atlanta Motor Speedway, that comes down to Eric Almirola. Really, he's been a huge addition to our team at Joe Gibbs Racing, and I'm just beyond thankful to have him as a mentor, and he's really helped myself in my mental state whenever it comes to these races, because I normally don't enjoy coming to the super speedway stuff, and Eric has done a great job of making sure that I am the best speedway racer that I can be.
We'll go to Doug and then to Jerry.
Thank you, Matt. Doug Turnbull from PRN and the 5 to Go podcast. At Daytona, I feel like Toyota's changed the narrative about their qualifying because there was a lot of fast Toyotas there.
And then we came to Atlanta.
but then you didn't run as well at Daytona. Then you come to Atlanta, qualify the back, and run up front. So what's the difference for the driver's seat behind the wheel? I know you're not going to give us a setup sheet here, okay? But what's the difference behind the wheel that your car's doing? And does it have to be significantly different at Atlanta because handling's so much more important here?
Honestly, I am just struggling to put the correlation together between qualifying and racing. And, the whole motto is if you don't qualify well, you're going to race well. And if you qualify well, oh my gosh, is the car going to drive good? Well, the JGR cars qualified really well at Daytona, and we raced how we did, however that was. And then here we qualified as bad as it gets, and it raced pretty similar, I would say. So, and then the Penske's, they've been the best of the Penske cars have been the best of both worlds. They've qualified well, they race well. So I don't know. I don't know what to say about qualifying or what to think about it. But at this point, I genuinely just don't think it matters, because I've had good races qualifying bad, and I've had bad races qualifying good.
Jerry?
Jerry Jordan, kicking the tires.net. So you said you have a list circled. Tell us what that list is and why is Vegas at the top?
A list circled of
the races you want to win.
of the races, yeah. So, well, Coda is a good place to start. Honestly, we're just getting into the bread and butter of what the 20 car likes. Coda should be a strong track. Phoenix, Vegas, Darlington, Homestead, all of these tracks coming up in the early part of the season is where we think we can, compete for wins and do good, score a lot of points. And Atlanta was not one of those racetracks that we had circled. So it's very refreshing to be able to get one early in the season, especially one where we didn't expect to win at. So hopefully we can, keep the ball rolling.
Vegas coming up in a couple of weeks. Do you feel like that one kind of owed you after we talked last year?
Well, I felt like Vegas has owed me one for a very long time. I go back to the Truck Series. I never won at Vegas. The Xfinity Series, I've never won at Vegas. And the Cup Series, I've never won at Vegas. But I would be curious to see the stats. I feel like I've led more laps at Vegas than I have any other track without any wins at. So, yeah, we'll try again in a couple weeks, and hopefully it plays out a little bit different.
We'll go to your right, to Cameron.
Cameron Richardson, NASCAR.com. You never know when your next one comes at the Cup level, and when the schedule came out for this year, New Hampshire and Gateway were in the playoffs. So
yeah, I'm excited about that.
Now that you do have that win out of the way, just how much more does that get you excited about the postseason, knowing that you have that win now in the bag and are in the playoffs?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Yes, it is refreshing to be locked in, but I go back to what I said earlier. If we don't win another race before the playoffs, we're not performing up to the standards that we hold ourselves to. So, the Gateway and Loudon being in the playoffs are two great racetracks for me, and I'm super excited about the round of 16 and the round of 12. I'm kind of dreading the round of 8, but hopefully we score points, and we need to bank a lot of playoff points before we get to those races. And help our cause whenever we get to the round of 8.
Go next to Matt and then to Chris.
Matt Weaver, Sportsnaut. I'm actually fascinated by the Eric Almirola element there. I'm curious, how often is he in y'all's meetings? Is it just super speedways or places where he's good, or is it every week? I mean, what is his addition exactly?
Yeah, so it's every week. And I would say the majority of his input and expertise has come on the speedway side, because he came from a very successful super speedway organization and manufacturer, and he's provided a lot of valuable input into my driving style, Adam's setup choice, and our strategy. So he has tremendously helped myself in the 20 car as a speedway racer and speedway team. But he's there every week. Every week he's going through the debrief and talking about what he sees and what we need to be better. And he's just a super smart and experienced guy. So he's very valuable to have, and I'm very grateful to have him on our team. He's been a huge resource to us the last couple of years.
Go to the middle to Chris.
ChrisKnight.com. Christopher, can you start 32nd here in June and still win the race, or does the mentality change?
No, I think you can. I mean, Blaney, he spun out with 10 to go? Was that 10 to go he spun out? Is that right?
Somewhere around there.
And he drove all the way up through there. So, I think if your car's driving good and you do a good job driving, you can make your way through the field. And, the beginning part of the race, I started in the 30s. And I could get up to the teens, but then I would stall out and just couldn't figure out the moves that I needed to make to get up front. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that here at Atlanta, this package, for whatever reason, at this racetrack has allowed the cream to rise to the top a little bit better. So, yeah, I'm careful saying that because I don't feel the same way about Daytona Talladega, but here it certainly works.
Do the temperatures make that much of a difference between here and June, or is that just something that everybody just likes to talk about and use it as an excuse?
It doesn't feel like it makes that much of a difference, honestly.
Well, Christopher, we've got one more to Bob here in the middle.
You were kind of, Bob Hocker, Sox Sports, you were a little bit far behind the Cindric Larson deal, but I'm curious if you saw it and could kind of see your view.
What was that, the wreck off of turn 2?
Yeah, right.
I'll be honest, I wasn't focused on that. I saw them. Cindric got into the wall off of 2, and then he spun across the racetrack. So I saw it out of my peripheral, but I didn't see exactly what happened.
Okay. Well, Christopher, congratulations on the win. Good luck next week in COTA.
Thank you, guys.